evening, good afternoon, Excellencies, distinguished members of Parliament, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Expo 2020 is a microcosmos. In a way, Expo 2020, and here I would like to extend our deep gratitude to our host country, to the United Arab Emirates, and could we join our hands for the UAE? Expo 2020 actually mirrors the community of nations, the United Nations, of which my country is so proud to be an enthusiastic and faithful member of. I'm delighted to have this chance today to, in practice, actually to walk the talk, as Michael Haddad has done today, to show that our commitment to the UNDP, be it globally or be it regionally, be it to the regional program for elections or to the facility for the SDGs or for the climate. Today we are putting into practice that support that we give every day. It's a support that Michael Haddad, and I hope I don't bore you by joining your hands, but Michael. If anyone has shown before, today and tomorrow that we can all do something, 2030 is just, it's tomorrow. Michael is setting a shining example. But if we look at the world economy, if we look at the way things are run in the world, governments are doing their share. They could do more. The private sector also is doing its share, but of course also could do more. And we are joining today around a virtual roundtable to listen to, and I will listen, I will remember, and I will learn from members of the private sector to see how have you in your everyday lives, in your organizations, managed to create a climate-smart economy. And now, may I introduce His Excellency Haddad, who is the regional head, who has come here from Amman for UNDP to be here on this important day at Expo 2020 in Dubai. Thank you.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, Ambassador Jan Theslev, for the introduction and for the very eloquent speech. It's very difficult to speak after you. I'd like to thank you, thank the Swedish committee for the Expo, for this very important partnership with UNDP, for the walk and the roundtable. I'd like also to thank the panel that will follow and the moderator. Private sector is not only, we consider private sector is not only an important ally for the fight for better environment, greener economy, etc. We consider the private sector as a core stakeholder and the guarantee for success. I think without the private sector engagement and participation, we are not going to be able to tackle this challenge. And as Ambassador Yan have said, 2030 is around the corner. And the Secretary General of the UN has clearly stated that alarm code red now, and there is no way back. So we have to face the challenge together for climate and for change. And what a better inspiration we have than Michael Haddad. Really, Michael is very symbolic. His presence, his walk today that we all witnessed is a very symbolic thing. It reflects determination, it reflects commitment, and it reflects the simple reality that if there is a will, there is certainly a way, and we can all together tackle all the challenges and complexities that have happened due to climate change. I'm not the main speaker of UNDP today. I'd like to introduce Mrs. Ulrika Modir, who have recorded a video message specifically for this event and for the roundtable. Ulrika is the Assistant Secretary General of the UN, and she's the Director of the Bureau for External Relations and Advocacy at UNDP. So I use this opportunity to introduce Ulrika on video. Thank you so much.
I am truly happy to have the opportunity to address this important roundtable discussion, which I would have loved to participate in physically, had work responsibilities and this tiny virus allowed. And I wish to thank UNDP Arab States' fantastic Goodwill Ambassador Michael Haddad for hosting this roundtable alongside with the Expo 2020 Walk for Climate Action.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Michael Haddad.
My mic is on?
Yes.
It is on?
Yes.
Okay. So I will be summarizing my few words in something that is considered to be impossible in my case, which is climbing up the steps. No, don't worry. And carrying myself here. So I think, first of all, I want to thank you from my heart for being here. CEOs, private sectors, you are 80% of our economy. I am walking under the UN flag to create this space for you to communicate this agenda. I believe that the simple steps will lead to extraordinary achievements as long as we do this first step. In my life, sorry, I'm catching my breath, I've already walked more than 2,000 steps. When they ask me, what was the hardest thing you encountered all your life? Being paralyzed from the chest down, wearing this exoskeleton, I told them my first step. This was the hardest thing. When I did this first step, thousands of steps followed. So I don't want to say a lot of words, simple words. Let's start with this first step, and thank you so much for coming here. I'm going to step down. Don't worry about it. I could do it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you to the Swedish Pavilion for having us here. Thank you to Michael for making this amazing walk a huge success, and also just bringing us all together. I think I met you a few months ago, and you've become not just a friend, but an inspiration. My name is Dina Story, and I am the Director of Sustainability at Expo 2020 Dubai. I'm very humbled and honored to be here with all of you, and I will be moderating this wonderful panel that has some amazing people from the private sector, both from global companies, but also from SMEs. And I'd like to introduce them, and as I introduce you, please come up. We have Etienne Di Acido from INTA, and I think he is joining us virtually. We have Rasha Muqayyad from Howden, Ali Al-Bakali from Alba, Anna Karen Rosen from Saab, and last but not least, Al-Anud Al-Hashimi from, oh, sorry, we have two more people. Al-Anud Al-Hashimi from the Futurist magazine, and of course, last but not least, my dear friend, Peter Harris. Wonderful. So the goal of this, when this came about, I thought to myself, we're going to make this, a very easy, very normal discussion. I don't want it to be very structured because we do have some amazing people. But to start with, I just want to have each one of the panelists introduce themselves and their companies. I think I'll start with Etienne.
Sure. Thank you very much. So my name is Etienne Sanz-Verfedo. I'm the CEO of the International Trademark Association, dedicated to supporting trademarks and brands globally. And our role really is to get a better society, to foster consumer trust, economic growth.
Thank you, Etienne. Rasha?
So my name is Rasha Muqayyad. I'm representing Howden Broking Group, based in UK. We're the largest in Europe, and we're one of the largest in the world. We have a 25-year sustainability strategy based on putting people first, and ESG is embedded in everything we do. On climate change, we just started with the climate risk and resilience team, and we're very strong on climate change right now. And it's just the beginning of the journey, but so exciting to be part of it.
Thank you, Rasha. Mr. Ali?
Ali Al-Bakali. I am Alba CEO. I have been with Alba more than 25 years, but as a CEO, I have been in this position three years. Alba is the largest single-site smelters outside China. We produced around above 1.5 million tons of aluminium. We started production in 1971 with 120,000 metric tons. Today we are producing, as I said, above 1.5 million tons. We have a well-downstream industry because of Alba exists in Bahrain for the last 50 years. Last year we complete our golden jubilee, 50 years. And during this 50 years we produce around 25 million tons of aluminium. And this aluminium, as you know, that is a recyclable product. You can use it all the time. We are very important industry in Bahrain. The aluminium industry in Bahrain represents almost 13% of Bahrain GDP, which is a huge. In terms of export, outside or excluding the oil and gas business, the aluminium industry represents around 65% of the total export of Bahrain. We have more than 3,200 employees, and as an ESG major players, we have our own initiatives, and our plan is aligned with the government initiatives to reach by 2060 a net zero carbon emissions. And we have a lot of initiatives. Maybe later on I can elaborate more.
Thank you.
Your Excellencies and ladies and gentlemen. My name is Anna-Karin Rosén. I am Swedish and I represent a Swedish company which is Saab. I am locally based in Abu Dhabi since 4.5 years, but I've 22 years with Saab AB. And I'm actually happy we get the opportunity to present the company because I want to make sure that nobody thinks that I'm representing the car industry, because that's what most people think when I say I work for Saab. People immediately think cars, but I actually represent the defense and the security industry. Saab is an acronym, actually, Swedish Aeroplane Company Limited. So in 1937, it started with making aircraft for the Swedish Air Force, and then it sort of grew from there. Cars was part of the company for many, many years, from 1947 roughly, but then separated in 1990 and has been completely separated companies since then. Today, the defense is still the majority of the company's sales and operations, but the civil security side is certainly growing. We cover all air, land, navy, so anything from fighter aircraft to submarines and command and control systems and such in between. On the civil security side, it's a lot about traffic management, such as airport operations and naval port operations. It is prison security systems in hospital and such. You hear, we have hundreds of products, really. One thing I want to emphasize is I mean, we're mostly engineers working for Saab, and our products are on high tech and on the forefront, and we're very, very proud of that. Before we go into the climate actions of a defense and security company, I also want to state that our vision, the Saab's vision, is that it's a human right to feel safe. And coming from Sweden, growing up in Sweden, and knowing the strong defense force, for instance, that we have there, and how we as an industry supply that, I think that's also, when you start looking into climate action, it is a fundamental element. If there is not national safety for a country, it's perhaps harder to look at real actions for climate change. So I think we try to provide that, and for people, if it is going on a flight, going to an airport, and we want to make sure that the systems that govern this do it in a safe way, so that we can conduct that.
My name is Haddad Hashmi. I'm the founder and CEO of a small company compared to everyone here. It's called the Future Company. We're a Dubai SME company based here in the UAE, a contributor to the innovation and technology of my beloved country, where we work on future-facing projects. As an SME, we work on how we can look into the numbers, the figures, the patterns, be able to understand the impact today and project the impact in the future, and develop the solutions that we need now to avoid, let's say, the catastrophic impact of what we do for us as humans, with considering the planet and keeping the planet in mind.
Yes, my mic, now it's working. Thank you so much, Elena. Peter.
Thank you, Dina. Good evening, everybody. My name is Peter Harris. I'm the Vice President of International Sustainability at UPS. UPS is a global logistics leader. We move things around the planet. That's what we do. We move about 2% of global GDP on a daily basis. So we're doing what we do at some considerable scale. I'm also delighted to say that we are the official logistics partner of Expo 2020. My colleague Alan is here in the audience, and he's been in charge of that entire exercise for many years now. So fantastic job, well done, Alan.
That's a great question. I mean, of course, we have among our members, we have big corporations, multinationals, we have SMEs and entrepreneurs as well, and we have a lot of law firms. I think what has really changed is that consumers are really expecting companies and brands to really deal with sustainability and make it the real priority. I'd like to perhaps refer to some numbers. There was a report from Accenture in 2021 saying that almost 70% of consumers plan to make more sustainable or ethical purchases. And more importantly, we just had the Element Trust Barometer that was published a few weeks ago, and there it is clearly stated that almost 80% of citizens, consumers, are expecting CEOs to become more visible on public policy matters, and almost 68% of them do expect CEOs to take the lead on global warming and climate change. And I have to say that is reflected within our own membership. We're talking more and more about those issues. It's part of our priority within the association. We want to build a better society through grants. And we're, of course, looking at ESG, CSR matters, and more importantly, we're looking into sustainability. And we see that many of our members are putting that as part of their strategic priorities. I think now what needs to happen is that the net zero pledge needs to become a real net zero plan for all corporations.
Thank you. I totally agree. And I think that the past few years, I've been working in the region for about 8 years now, and I've been working in the sustainability space for God knows how long. I'm old. But this past few years have seen this acceleration. And one of the questions, and I want to talk to you all of you about it, is, I'll start with Russia. I mean, the big question is, why now? And how does your organizations accelerate the action, not just the commitment? We've talked about committing to net zero, we've talked about committing, and the commitment is wonderful. But we see now, even this week through the World Future Energy Summit, through Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week, that the government is putting action in place. They committed about a month, almost 2 months ago, and now they're saying, this is how much we're going to spend on this, and this is why we think this is important. So, as companies of varying sizes, I just want to bring this question out. Maybe I'll start with you, Rasha.
Sure. We just realized that insurance is playing a vital role in the future of our plan, and that we need to make a difference, whether it's a small contribution or a big contribution. And we need to lead by example, so we started many initiatives on climate change. On a global level, we started gathering our carbon emission report, and because we want to achieve the net zero target. And we're working with Carbon Trust to achieve the past 2060 certification. On a local level, we started offsetting the carbon emission by planting mangrove trees. And this is a small contribution, again, but with time and inspiring people around us, and this is why today the most challenging for any organization is the role of the leaders to inspire their people, the community, the next generation, how to make a difference. It's very challenging to deal with different mindsets, especially if you're working for a multicultural organization. But once you get this art, you specialize in it and you know how to deal with it, it's super easy. It took me, as the managing director of Howden in this part of the world, 5 years. 5 years to change the mindset of the people. So we started with the paper-free initiative, and everyone's like, wait a minute, we're not going to have a paper on the table? And so it's been challenging, really, but then they knew how valuable it is. They understood it, they felt it, the efficiency level grew, the purpose of saving the planet is there, so they felt good about it, and now they're the ambassadors of this initiative. Plastic-free environment, and on and on and on. So there's a lot of things that we need to deal with, and it's challenging as well, but we can see that the response from the consumers is great. And, internationally, clients are asking us to be assessed by third parties like EcoVadis, like Carbon, and it's just to encourage organization to invest locally in local services and products, and also to assess how are you contributing to the community, to the environment, and other things. So it's really nice to see that and to understand where we are today and what should we continue doing in the future.
Very nice. I mean, I think you touched upon the social and the environmental aspects, and I think that's very, very important. And Mr. Ali, I think when we were talking back in the room, we had a conversation about Expo moving away from single-use plastic to using aluminium cans for water. And that was done intentionally. Aluminium is infinitely recyclable. Aluminium is a good source to use in the sustainability growth from a packaging perspective. Single-use plastic, unfortunately, is polluted our oceans. We did have a conversation that the aluminium industry is becoming more efficient and that companies such as yours are moving in that direction. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about that.
Definitely, I will talk about from the industrial sector point. It's not like from the insurance side or from the bank side or from the transportation side. Because we believe that the environment, we have to protect the environment and we have to be more efficient in order to be in the market. As an ALBA, we started now to record and we have to produce our sustainability report for the last 2 years. And in our sustainability report, we indicate our action and what we did to promote our product. Now, the challenge is how to become green in the future, and we have a long way to go because we are as a GCC, we don't have the rivers to produce the power through the hydropower. We are rich in the GCC with the gas, with the natural gas. And our electricity, the main source of it, that comes from the natural gas. Natural gas, as per ASI, it's a green because once you are producing the aluminium through the gas or natural gas, you have almost 8 tons of carbon per 1 metric ton of aluminium. So we are really in our front, but really as an ALBA, we did a lot of initiatives. We have the most efficient power stations in the Middle East. It is GE H-class machines. It is full combined cycles. It's reduced our emission dramatically. Now we already also having an expansion to have another block, and this block will reduce our emission by 1%, which is very good also. But in terms of total roadmap for ESG, February next month we'll have our full map. The map will be consisting of many pillars. The pillars will target a lot of 17 elements in the ESG. However, we are going to focus more in the GHG reduction of the carbon emissions by having, for example, we already issued a tender for the solar farm. We are starting with a small megawatt project. It's around 7 megawatt for the solar farm. But this is as a start to show the people how we are committed to go for a green energy and renewable energy. We have also just last week we signed a memorandum of understanding with Mitsubishi Heavy Industry on having a pilot project in ALBA to do a carbon capture, which is this is very good. This is the first collaboration between aluminium industry with such technology providers in order to have reduce the carbon emission from the plant itself, from the carbon, not from the power side. Also, we have a lot of initiative on how to go or how to use the hydrogen gas in the futures. We know that Bahrain we don't have that much of the hydrogen gas, but we are looking at all the angles in order to reach to the zero carbon by 2060. I know it's not easy, but we have to push ourselves, and I think with the support, and as she said, the awareness is the key issue.
True.
The employee now, even part of our encouragement for the employees, we distribute for every employee one tree. Just to embed it, we told them this is a tree for you, free of charge. Take it and put it or plant it in your garden. This is the way how we are doing or targeting the mindset of the people. And we are doing a lot of plantation in Bahrain. And also part of our plan will do more and more. But this is just the start. And I think now is the time for everybody to commit, since our leaders, they commit by 2060 to achieve zero net carbon. Then we are not an exceptional as an aluminum industry. And we are a listed company as well, which means like a global aluminum. We are a global company. We have to commit by ourselves also. In terms of the recycling, yes, recycling will be one part of our plan. We know that aluminum is a good substitute for many products, especially plastic and other. But really, in order to offset our carbon emission, we have to use a lot of recyclable or scrap aluminum in our system to reduce the carbon footprint. I think we are doing good, and we are on the right path to achieve our plan in future.
Thank you, Mr. Ali. I can't wait to read that report, and I'll wait for you to send it to me, for sure. Anna, I loved when you talked about human rights. And a lot of times we talk about sustainability. We talk about one aspect of it. But security, I think, is very important from a social aspect as well as an environmental aspect, because you can't achieve higher sustainability or go into the sustainability goals without realizing that human rights, as you mentioned, and security are part of it. And I know the industry is growing, and I know there's a lot of learnings from the technologies that you're developing. So maybe you can tell us a little bit more about that.
I'd be happy to. And I absolutely agree that things are changing, and quite rapidly now. I see it in our industry during just the last couple of years, and even just the last year. And some examples within Saab for that is that we have appointed a head of sustainability who is in corporate and group functions level. And for instance, we had a big Saab World Conference, and then it was a lot of focus on sustainability and what do we do. We're using the UN sustainability goals as well, the 17, and are focusing on a number of those innovation and R&D through the climate fund. So that's one hands-on way.
Very good. And again, I loved how you mentioned the efficiencies. The climate fund, I think a lot of companies are doing that, and they are putting it into good use. And then this is just, as an industry, you committing to this is absolutely amazing, to be honest with you. And I was at a conference a few days ago, again, within the security space, transparency.